world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the We Grow Our Show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show. Get your grow on.
Dude, can we play that intro again? That was awesome.
I love it.
I think the last 18 billion episodes I've started off with, man, that intro's awesome.
That's right. Let's play it again. I should just do a show of repeating intro.
Yeah, because that would last and
You're probably right.
expand our listening base.
Hey, we've gotten so much feedback on that intro, though. People love the intro. So,
oh, yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a cool show today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about getting back to basics.
That's
Startup.
right.
What else?
You know, we've kind of ventured off into some, not extreme, but definitely, some complicated issues.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy enough to make your own fuel, but the reality is not everybody is into rocket science. Not everybody's into chemical engineering. And yes, you can follow a how-to guide, but I can see where it's a bit pricey.
You can also
to
blow
get
yourself
into.
up. If you don't
Exactly.
Do it right.
Yeah. It's, you do something wrong when you're making your own fuel and, 16,000 pounds of flammable gases comes oozing out of something. You're going to have some issues.
Absolutely. And gasification.
Yep. Gasification isn't near as dangerous, but it's really hard to get one made and have it work correctly.
Right.
As I'm finding out, but, you can do it. It's something that you can do. You can look it up. You can invest your time, probably a little bit of money, and you can get it going. But what we're going to talk about today are the basics. I think both Don and I feel that we've been a little bit overwhelming with some of the topics. So for those of you that are checking in, you haven't got but maybe 2 weeks worth of food storage in your pantry. It's time to start looking at how to get into this and how to start preparing for the worst. And not only being a prepper, but also starting your own personal farmstead. Everything from growing your own food to,
Raising your own rabbits.
Well, yeah, that's food. Growing food for your food.
Right.
And growing food for your food's food.
So that's a good place to start, actually, I think, is fodder.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a
definitely.
lot of questions about fodder, and we have some fodder systems available on hostelehair.com.
Yep.
Soon we'll have some fodder systems available on We Grow Ours,
Yeah.
and those are going to be sweet, by the way.
Oh,
and we're trying to get the cost way down.
Yeah, that's the key to this is right now the ones that are available are worth spending the money on. They're a great experimental kit. They're a great startup deal. They come with all the instructions to just plug and play and go. So I will continue selling them because they're great to get your foot in the door.
Right.
This new system is going to be turnkey awesomeness.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we've got to look at what can you guys do? A budget prepper.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about budget prepping.
Yep.
And what can you do to get your foot in the door on the entire farmstead or homestead movement without spending a ton of money and to even see if you like it?
Yeah. What you don't realize is you're not going to know if you like chickens until you have a couple in your backyard. So if you go out and you buy 10 chickens, then your joy is going to be multiplied tenfold. Your wallet's going to hurt 10 times as much. And your possibility of failure is 10 times greater too, because 10 chickens jumping over the fence, you get to meet all of your neighbors instead of if you have one chicken jumping over the fence.
Yeah, they get to meet your dog.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So with that though, it's one of those things that you say, okay, well, how many chickens do I need for my family? I've got a family of 5. I want a certain number of eggs a day. And one of the things with chickens, it's hard to add more chickens if you don't have the proper setup.
That's true. I mean, if you start with 3,
Right.
they'll have a pecking order. You add anything else to that, they will peck at it, and they won't let them into the clique.
Right. And it's not as easy as just saying, opening the door and saying, okay, let the chicks in. They'll get killed by the bigger chickens.
Exactly.
So now you've got to have a quarantine area. Mm-hmm. You got to quarantine your new chickens for at least 30 days.
Yeah.
You've got to let them grow to the right thing, and then you've got to slowly figure out how to introduce them.
Yeah.
So you can spend your money in the wrong ways too. And some things like chickens, I think it's better to start with a few more than you want because you're probably going to lose a few.
Yep.
But
There's
if
a
you're in an
mortality
HOA,
factor.
you've got that issue. So
Yeah, HOAs. Just if you're in an HOA, meet your neighbor. Fucking blinking. When you have live animals, the mortality rate is something to figure in.
deja vu, because I totally agree with you.
Deja vu. Yeah. For those of you don't know about the man behind the curtain over here, we've been talking for 20 minutes and we didn't have the freaking record button on.
This is the first time.
Okay.
I'm forgiven.
Done.
Gosh darn it, people
Son
like
of a
me.
gun.
Go ahead.
Back to chickens. So anyway, if you're starting off, chickens might not be your best bet just because you might end up meeting your neighbors.
Yeah.
In a bad way, like, oops, that chicken wasn't clipped.
Yeah. You might
Oops.
find out their dogs don't like birds.
Yeah, and let me tell you, picking up strewn about dead chicken in a neighbor's yard is not a fun activity.
This is a very motivational podcast.
We're
isn't
doing
it?
horrible motivating people. I would suggest going with rabbits. Keep in mind, I am a rabbit salesman, but rabbits are a little bit easier to start off with, I've found. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. If you're starting off, forego the animals for now. Is my advice.
Well, yes and no. I agree with you, and I think rabbits are a good place to start if you're looking for the protein source.
Yes, if your goal is protein, by all means, you're not going to get it out of your garden. Not as effectively as rabbits.
Right. And I'm not a big fan of chickens for meat.
Yeah.
I like chickens for eggs. A lot of our listeners are in HOAs.
Yeah.
So the other protein would be quail. Mm-hmm. That's actually a really good place to start.
Oh yeah, quail would be a great way. I would go quail over chickens, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you've got an acre plus, I would say it's easier with the quail because quail, especially the Corturnix, have been bred in captivity for a couple thousand years now.
Yeah, they're called Japanese pharaoh quail, and they came from what Scott has told me.
Mm-hmm.
They've come from the pharaohs used to raise them in Egypt for the eggs.
Okay, that wouldn't make them Japanese though. Just for a little
Japanese Corturnix. They're also called pharaoh. The Japanese quail are also called pharaoh quail.
Apparently, there was a boat that came from Asia into North Africa, and anyway.
So,
Hence the feral Japanese quail. Fun fact, just to bring us back from that, Corturnix is actually an onomatopoeia in Japanese for the sound that the quail make.
I did not know that.
It is. Do you know what onomatopoeia is?
I do, actually.
Okay. The blank look on your face when I said it.
It was very interesting. I was thinking that it's the only part about quail that I'm not the fondest of is they all look the same.
That's true. I mean,
The males, the females.
Yeah, it's hard to tell them apart. They've all got the same general makeup. There are some slight differences.
Yeah.
And Scott Yarish did an awesome job teaching this at the conference and went over some of those differences. It's easier to tell with the solid Corturnix than some of the offshoots.
Because of the spots on the chest.
That's right.
Now you get into the Texas A&Ms, which are white.
They could be either sex, and you won't know until one's mounting the other and an egg pops out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even when they're mounting each other, you can't tell. That doesn't mean anything. I found that out because I thought I had a female. I put them in.
I'd be looking
all of a sudden,
for
one of
the
them,
different equipment.
Well, and that's really hard unless you've trained. I mean, it's very difficult to do. So one of the things that we kept them separate until I either heard them crow or I had an egg.
Oh, there you go.
That was the easiest thing to do. But quail are really good for spaces, small spaces.
Yes.
I got my quail system from you.
Yep.
How big is it?
2 foot by 3 foot is the footprint.
Okay.
And I believe yours is only like, a 1.5 feet tall.
Not even.
Wait, is it a single layer or is it a double?
I have the single.
8 to 10 inches tall?
Right. So, 2 foot by 3 foot by 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah, you put that anywhere.
Right. And if you don't have the property, and let's say we're in an apartment at this point, we've got quail, the drippings, the poop
Yep.
can be composted
That's right.
with other things, maybe a 5-gallon bucket. We're trying to talk about budget ways to get started.
Yeah.
If you don't have the room, what can you do in your apartment? You know, get a 20-gallon tote from the hardware store or the junkyard or actually Goodwill is a really good place to go for those things.
20-gallon totes?
Yeah, just a basic tote, you know, a plastic tote.
You're talking like a Rubbermaid container?
A Rubbermaid container,
Okay.
yeah. Something like that. Put it in. You start collecting those droppings. Start
Yeah.
composting in there with your organics
Shoot,
out of your
you can
kitchen.
do a worm bed and something like
You
that.
can do a worm bed. You can then turn those worms back into food for the quail if you wanted to.
Hey, there's a circle of life.
Absolutely. Now, if you don't have the property, we talk about gardening and
Yep.
plants. And that's where aquaponics come. Now I'm an aquaponics salesman.
Yeah,
you
here
might
we
be a
go.
rabbit salesman.
Now,
but
listen to this.
yeah. So I know you had a question, you know, how much would it cost? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, I mean, let's say I'm Jimmy McCheaperton and I don't want to pay anybody any money that I don't have to.
Right.
I found a tote. It's $120. How much would it take to turn that one tote into like the 2/3, 1/3 aquaponic system that I've seen?
Well, not much.
Okay.
You know, one, you've got to make sure that tote you found didn't have Roundup in it.
Oh, true.
Okay. So we got to go with those food grade totes.
Yeah.
Something that contained Karo syrup.
Carol syrup.
Carol
yeah.
syrup. Thank you.
Like
I knew you'd know
it's
what
a
was
corn
in it.
syrup.
Right.
Yeah.
Soy sauce, things like that.
Yep. And just because they're not organic doesn't mean you can't organically raise something else in them.
Right. You're going to wash it out real good.
That's right.
So-
Wash your totes.
Make sure it fits through your doors or that you have a way to hoist it to your balcony if you're on a second floor. Believe it or not, I've come across that.
Look for a guy in cut-off denim shirt wearing a ball cap, chewing tobacco. He's called a redneck. You ask him how he'd do it, he'll get her done.
That's right. And offer them a 6-pack at the same time.
That's right. Pabst Blue Ribbons, good bartering tool. Unless he's a Mormon redneck, then you're gonna have to do something else. I don't know.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So once
Cue
we
edit here.
That's right. So once we get that aquaponic system, that tote in place, basically you're going to cut the top of it off and you're going to make sure that you've got a 12-inch grow bed, 12 inches deep. Flip it over. We're going to have some type of framing system we put on. And what do we need to buy at that point? A tote, a pump, plumbing,
All
and
your
some type
PVC.
of bell siphon. You can actually make the bell siphon. I'm sorry. Some type of bulkhead fitting.
Yep.
That's really it.
Okay.
That's all you have to do.
So all of that together, you're looking at $200-300, right?
For a small one like that, not even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. You're
What are you
talking
thinking?
the pump, $150 to $200
For the pump?
for everything.
Oh, okay.
For everything.
Because
Yeah.
what do you want your gallons per hour to be on a pump like that?
Well, depends again what you cut that tote to. So one of the things that I found with those single tote IBC systems, when you start flipping that top over, you're cutting 12 inches off and you're flipping it over, is that they're really, really high, but they give you the most gallons that way.
Yeah.
So what you want to do to size your pump is you're looking for a minimum of turning the water over once per hour. So most of these pumps are rated in gallons per hour. So you take a 270 gallon IBC tote and you cut the top off, you're going to be down to 200 gallons, somewhere in that range. You're going to need at least a 200 gallon per hour pump. Now, if you've got back problems or anything else, you may actually want to lower that a bit.
Oh.
So, and if you're in a place where you have really bad space issues, you can even look at putting your quail, raising the bed a little bit, putting your quail underneath the bed and allowing to use that aquaponic system to help cool them, keep the temperature controlled because you're going to heat or cool the water. Generally, you're going to heat the water and keep it cool by keeping it out of the direct sun. So you're providing shade and you can feed the quail the same thing you're feeding the fish and do an entire integrated system in that sense.
Okay. Kind of
So-
like what Scott's got on his balcony.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can even integrate like that. You can take some of that waste. You can use it for the composting. You can use it for the Rubbermaid container.
That reference was Scott Yarish with the Yarish Homestead. We
Absolutely.
might want to throw that in the notes.
I'll put that in the show notes.
Thank
absolutely.
you, sir.
Yeah.
So we were talking, if you're in an apartment and you've got a little quail system, that would be a great way to go.
Yeah, and if you're out
It's
on an
cheap, too.
acre and don't know what to do to start, and you don't know if you want to be a farmsteader, you don't know if you want to go do this wildlife stuff and raising all these, proteins, and you think quail are little birds that run around and you've never processed anything in your life, there's some good ways to get started and get your hands in this without spending the money. If you have the money, I say go full bore and get the system you want to feed your family and get it up and going, because there's nothing not to like. And I haven't met anybody that got out of raising their own food once they got into it.
Yeah, it's addictive. I got started a while back and I haven't given it up yet. And you'll ask my wife, I'm one that starts a project and drops it, and the garage is definitely evidence of that. But I have not given up on rabbits. I love doing it. I love raising my own food. It gives me a sense of control. And, not that I'm a complete control freak. Maybe a little bit. But, it gives me peace of mind that I know where my food's coming from and that I can create it.
Absolutely.
So it's addictive. So we'll start off with something small. Did we go over composting in this recording, or was that the last one?
That was the one where I didn't push the button.
There you go. See, Don's really good at a few things, pushing buttons.
There's some buttons I managed to push pretty well.
There is. Oh gosh. Anyway, Donna Bruce did an awesome job at the conference last weekend, and she went over how to compost. And I really like her idea of composting, because it's not just piling it up in a designated spot, wait until it cooks to the proper whatever, and then moving it again. She straight up starts it in the bed where she's going to plant.
Yeah.
And it's about a 3-month cycle. So she'll put in a layer of humus, I think is the dead leaves and dead stuff on the property, and then a layer of non-dead stuff like your fresh rabbit manure, weeds from the garden,
Banana
peels, kitchen scraps in general. And also she said go to the feed store, sweep up some of the chaff or what's it
just
called?
a scrap,
Chaff.
yeah.
Just a scrap hay that's not going to anybody because it's gross and it's on the ground. They won't mind. That 16-year-old kid that's trying to make some money there, he's going to hand you the broom and smile while you do it.
Absolutely.
So you take that, throw that in the bed, throw some dirt on top of it so that the flies don't come around. And little by little, you water it, you give it plenty of water. So you don't want it soupy, but you want it to be moist enough that it will sustain bacterial life.
Yeah.
And Donna brought in a bucket of this stuff. And I kid you not, it is the blackest, awesomest dirt I've ever
Oh,
seen.
it was black gold. It's absolutely beautiful.
It looked like Mississippi riverbank
Yeah.
mud. Awesome. You put your hands in it. And it's not like stinky or anything. It was good soil. But she did an awesome job. And so if Donna's listening, thank you so much. Anyway, you don't have to do a 12-foot by 6-foot bed or a 12-foot by 4-foot bed like Donna does. You could do a little 2-foot by 2-foot, 4 square foot garden.
Yeah.
And just start it off, just start planting some stuff. Tomatoes are easy,
Yeah.
start with some tomatoes,
Cucumbers,
holy flip.
Yeah.
My in-laws planted squash.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, we had 200-300 pounds of squash in like a couple months.
Oh, it's amazing.
And yeah, holy cow. And I was squashed out after that, but.
Now, one of the things we learned from Justin Rohner was to use, in summertime, to use your air conditioning condenser line.
Yes.
Basically where it's draining out of your house, and plant something there. You could put a little garden right there, do the same thing you're talking about, a little 2-foot by 2-foot. Now you've got water built in.
That's right.
And you can put something decorative there, let it grow. It's only going to be in the summer when your AC is running, but that's when you need to water the most too.
Yeah. You
So-
could always pipe away from that too.
Yeah.
And,
Run that pipe a little bit down, and you've got some phenomenal stuff with that. He was also talking, some of the easier things that I picked up was if you have an RO system, You've got pressurized water coming out of that RO system. And for every gallon of drinking water it's producing somewhere between, depending on the system, between 6 and 10 gallons of wastewater, which is being put out, utilize that.
Yeah. It's
put
just
it into
going
a
right
little
into your
garden
drain.
that you can build yourself. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. And the RO system is year round. So it doesn't have to be a lot of work. It can be fun, and it can be a really good place to start with a budget. That you don't need to have to worry about watering every day. And you can have some really good success with some table scraps, a little bit of hard work, a little bit of ingenuity, going out to these feed shops, sweeping some things up, talking to your neighbors.
Yep.
And getting their scraps. And all of a sudden now you've got a little garden going.
What neighbor's going to tell you, no, you can't have my chicken scraps unless they're doing the same thing?
Yeah. Well, it's even the guy out mowing the lawn.
That's
he's got this big bag of mulch.
Yeah.
And they're going to put it tie it up in a bag and throw it in the trash can. It's like, hey, would you mind if I took that?
Yeah, exactly. Or talk to your gardeners, or if you have gardeners.
Yeah, landscapers. Yeah.
Landscapers. Talk to your neighbors' landscapers. Say, hey, can I get a bag of your garbage? They'll be like, okay. They'll say, what? and yeah, you can get it from anywhere.
Yeah.
Garbage is free. Just find the good stuff and use it.
So you can do this on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
You can get started easily.
That's right.
And you can have fun, and you can get your hands dirty, literally, and see what you think about it.
Yeah.
So you start out with a couple of quail, maybe.
A couple quail, maybe a rabbit cage with, I just went into it. Let's talk rabbits for a minute.
I started with a 3 cage.
You started with 3.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I loved it.
Yep. I think, that's a good start. Breeding trio is about the bare minimum that you want to go. I say one further than that you should have 2 bucks and 3 does, just because it's repetitive. It's backup built in. It's multiple bloodlines. So if everybody's firing on all cylinders and everything's working properly, you've started a rabbitry with essentially, 5 bloodlines. And with that, saving the offspring, you've got 15 years of breeding capabilities without,
right.
Even inbreeding.
So now I've moved up into a 6 cage system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of your amazing systems, a self-cleaning whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, that gives you, with what you just said, 2 does and 3 does and 2 bucks.
2 bucks.
Which is 5.
And
that gives you the grow out cage and everything. So what's something like that run?
$600.
$600.
Yep.
And
just figure for every member of the family, you're going to spend about $125 to get started with rabbits. And with that, if you're in survival mode, if you're a prepper, if you're a survivalist, one breeding female will give you 64 babies a year. That's 320 pounds of live meat, live weight, and dressed carcass, as in the pretty meat, 215 pounds of that. 215 pounds of that will feed you all the protein you need per year per person in the household.
Right.
So one breeding doe per member of the household. Do you need to start with 1 doe per member of the household? No, you probably don't. But if you want to start with all the protein that you would need and barterability, get 1 doe per member of the household. And 1 buck will service up to 8 does. So minimum of 2 bucks, just so you've got a backup. Sometimes they tend to shoot blanks. And if that happens, then you want to
name him Stewie.
Name him Stewie. Yeah, at the conference, I still got a little bit of Stewie's blood on my shoe. The conference this weekend, we did a rabbit in and taught everybody how to butcher a rabbit. And, it was pretty awesome. He went out quick and painlessly, and then he ended up in somebody's stew. So his name is Stewie.
His name is Stewie. Now, that was a male that wasn't shooting full loads.
Gosh. Should we edit that?
Probably.
Let it fly.
I didn't know what else
Screw
to
it. He was not performing properly. Actually, under further investigation, he had all of the equipment, but it looked like he was a little bit obese, and so his dangly parts weren't coming all the way out.
Gotcha.
And so there was some issues with the productivity of the swimmers.
Understood.
Anyway, so keep that in mind. Don't overfeed your bunnies. Sometimes that shuts down the reproductive system, especially in females. The fat will build up around the ovaries and completely shut off the flow of the eggs, and you'll get very small litters. So,
well, and that's something starting out you can do. Mm-hmm. Again, you want to then get into gardening. You've got built-in fertilizer right there. It doesn't have to be composted.
And that's what's great is if you are weeding a garden and throwing all of these weeds into your compost bin, you are essentially replanting weeds. If you feed those weeds to the rabbits, they will digest all of the greens and probably kill 70% of the seeds.
Right.
And now you can use their manure as a good fertilizer without replanting your weeds.
One of the things that Donna had taught at the Homestead Conference was to use kombucha. And kombucha, I've been brewing kombucha for quite a while. It's a drink. It's a fermented
tea.
Okay. Yeah, fermented black tea or green tea. And she's actually saying that she uses that on the compost pile and kind of helps that bacteria, spread and be very healthy. So that was something I learned out of that thing. And it's, again, an easy way to start. You don't need a lot of money for this stuff.
Yeah.
An aquaponic system you can do for a few $100s. A cage system, meat cage for rabbits, a few $100s.
That's mostly a quarter of somebody's paycheck.
Right. And then now you can take that and go back and you're getting the waste materials from that. Mm-hmm. You water out of your aquaponic garden if you want to into your bed that you've used all of this compost and rabbit waste and, quail waste into, or integrated the quail. And now you've got beautiful black soil. Mm-hmm. And it's a good place to start. When I started, I spent money on things I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I said, I'm going to do this. I was building these big hydroponic things and spending money on nutrients and, the whole thing. So if I go back and do it again, we talked, Donna also brought up the $47 tomato.
Yeah.
$64 tomato.
Yeah.
And that's in a book. And I don't have the book. I'll reference her webpage. You can ask her, but interesting that, when this person started gardening, they did the calculations and that's what the tomatoes cost them once they got done. Well, when you go out and you start buying these bags of soil from Home Depot and Lowe's and they cost $10, $15, $20 and you're buying this chemical to go on it to Miracle Grow things. And now you've got all these chemicals in there. You've spent a fortune on this stuff.
You just bought $20 of poop.
Yeah. And it's stuff you could be doing at home pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
On the cheap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what people don't realize is you go in and you're like, I want to plant a seed. Well, I need this chemical, this chemical, this chemical, this poop, this chemical, this bag of stuff, this, and this. Nature does it on its own. Mm-hmm. Look at nature. What is nature doing? Well, in the forest, there's ground coverage that's designed to pull nutrients out of the ground and deposit it on the top. And then there's short berry bushes that pull right out of that. The trees, they send their roots way down and pull nutrients out of the ground. And when they shed their leaves, they're supplying the topsoil as well.
Yeah.
All of that happens naturally. So if you can replicate what the Almighty's already figured out works, do it. That's my opinion anyway.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we're doing. Aquaponics again. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing. We're taking an existing natural system and we're putting it into an area that we can control it and benefit from it more than control it. But semi-control it to help us produce our own food.
Well, that's aquaponics is just the water version of what's happening in the forest. You look at what happens underneath of the surface of the lakes. Holy cow.
Yeah.
There's more going on in there. And bacteria are everywhere in the water.
And that's what you're doing. You're taking that underneath part and you're raising it up.
Yeah.
And that's what you're planting plants in, really.
Yeah.
And you're making a floodplain.
It's perfect. It's a beautiful system. And I really like that the aquaponic system, I don't know if we mentioned it in this recording or not, but your mother's in a.
Yeah, my mom's in a scooter. And
she's in a rascal?
Yeah, she's one of those little, no, it's not quite a rascal. It's a scooter.
Okay.
So, but she can't garden. She can't get down on her knees. I don't want to be down on my knees gardening, frankly.
No.
That's why I like raised beds, aquaponics, or just raised beds. And, she can go around and do this stuff. She can harvest her own food, and she would never be able to go plant stuff. She's got her little herb garden, for example, is in an old wheelbarrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she's going to put soil in it, and somebody was going to throw it away. Thrifty, right?
Yeah.
Okay, something like that. One of the things I was doing, we designed a little aquaponic system to go in an old wagon, as in like an old covered wagon.
Oh, really?
So something like that. It's decorative. It can be pretty. That gets expensive.
Yeah.
You want to get all these custom beds and custom do everything. You're talking about money.
That's money.
But an old wheelbarrow doesn't have to be.
That's right.
That's something
I've got an old wheelbarrow at my house. Apparently, I didn't use my wheelbarrow so much that the bottom rusted out of it.
Which means it's perfect for drainage.
Hey, there you go.
You put some screening in there.
Plant something
and
in
you
it.
plant something in it. Now you've got drainage right in your wheelbarrow.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. So, what other points did we want to hit on today, Nick?
Well, I think that most of our listeners out there don't have a ton of extra money to throw at something. So we're trying to help you make some good decisions here.
Yeah, it's hard economic times.
I mean, I sell some cage systems that are upwards of $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of rabbit can be produced out of that. Don, I know that you do some custom jobs that are up
15, 20, 30 grand.
And which the return on investment on these are awesome. But that being said, we understand that not everybody's got that upfront cash.
Yeah.
So you can do these things. In fact, I sell a book by Boyd Craven. It's called the Urban Rabbit Project, and it's Backyard Meat Rabbits is the subtitle. And in it, he discusses an inexpensive wooden hutch that you can go to the hardware store, buy everything, and build it yourself. Don's gone one step further and put together a kit that you can buy. Everything's cut. You don't have to have saws. You don't have to have any equipment to do it.
Well, the only thing you need to supply in our plumbing kits is the PVC.
Okay.
So you need to get a pair of PVC cutters, which
it's less than $10.
Yeah. And then some PVC pipe. That's it. Because I can't cut PVC knowing what configuration you want your system in.
Exactly.
So it just doesn't work that way. Everything else, you need to supply some cinder blocks, some 2x4s, and some PVC. Other than that, you can get everything else in the kit, including the totes for that matter.
Well, there you go.
So you could do the plumbing kits just for the bell siphons. Because we say, a lot of people say, well, I could just make my own bell siphon. Yeah, you can. It's not that hard. You have to source the right size materials. You have to source the bulkheads. And then you have to have a saw, a table saw, a circular saw, something to cut these things the right way with. And you have to have hole saws to start drilling holes, and you have to be the right sizes. And that's where a lot of people say, I don't want to do this. I don't have that stuff. Not everybody, I do, yeah. I know, Nick, you've probably got everything sitting in your garage, but not everybody out there has that kind of tool. My mom, for example, would not have, actually she might, but, she wouldn't be able to do this. And why would we want to take the benefit from that away from other people that don't have these tools? So you don't need a lot of money to get started, even if you want to go out and buy some stuff. And sometimes it's just as inexpensive to go buy it as it is to make it on your own. Because depending on the value you're putting on your time, you can do that. But if you don't have the money, maybe you're in a rental and you want to create a little garden where your landlord isn't going to get real pissed off, there's still stuff you can do to get started in this local food movement. It doesn't have to be elaborate.
No. It can be as pretty as you can afford to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of pieces of wood and some scraps from the neighborhood.
That's true. Well, should we do a recap on the conference?
Sure.
Man, I really enjoyed it. Going into it, you're very nearsighted trying to put it together. And, when it all compiled together, man, our teachers were awesome. We had some real good talks. Holy cow. Kari Spencer from, I just spaced it on the name of the farm. It's like
If you hadn't said it, I would have been able to do it.
oh gosh, I spaced it. I've been to her house. It's awesome.
Yeah. She was a great speaker, and the
yeah.
pictures that I hadn't seen her place, but she had some good pictures.
Yeah.
And she's doing some amazing work up there. So I'll definitely put a link to all of these on
we'll
the
go ahead
show
and
notes,
put it
which we've
over.
changed formats one more time on.
Oh, perfect.
So basically we've got the show written out. This is what it's about. And then I have, mentions
Okay.
and just links, because it takes so much time to type out every word we're saying basically and put all these links in this thing. I just can't do it. So now we've got mentions. I just put the links in. You guys can go have fun, explore and enjoy that process, because I'm not doing the other, but she was amazing.
Yeah.
Justin Rohner, if you haven't seen Justin Rohner speak, he's damn good at it.
That's true. He motivates you to get off your butt and get stuff done. And that's what I like about him, is he's energizing. You know, he talked about planning your urban homestead, and talked about he talked about the zones you can put stuff in, and then he followed up that class with backyard chickens.
Yeah, the psychology of chicken.
Yeah, he's the chicken whisperer. But a lot of stuff I'd never even thought of. You know, just the different things that you need to do in order to keep your chickens hush hush. So he did an awesome job there. Followed up by Donna Bruce's first class on gardening, and that was awesome. She went over a lot of good tactics. And who followed that up, Don?
I think I did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was asleep during your class.
Of course you were.
No, just kidding. No, Don did a great job explaining aquaponics in depth. This wasn't a beginner's class. This was a serious, in-depth class, and we really enjoyed it. So
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, well, I gotta throw you a bone occasionally when you do a good job, Don.
So that was
That was day one.
That was day one. Day two, that
Day
was the
two-
carnage day.
Yeah. Well, we started the day off with Scott Yarish. He talked about quail.
Yeah.
And how to properly integrate quail into your backyard.
Yep.
And all of the things that he's doing on his thing. Scott actually, I think we've talked about this in other shows, but he isn't buying meat from the supermarket.
He's
anymore.
gotten really big into this too. They are not buying any meat from the supermarket.
That's cool.
And I think they're trying to get all of their food locally. But as far as supermarket goes, I mean, he's doing trading. He got with some friends and was able to process 30 chickens this weekend.
Holy cow.
So he got a bunch of people together. They all process their own chickens, and for helping out, basically, everybody takes their own chicken with them. So they'll go buy the live chickens, or somebody might say, hey, I have 50 chickens I need to process and I don't want to do it myself. Can you guys come over and help me? And that's where he's getting a lot of this stuff, is this community thing. So he might go home with 5 or 6 chickens for spending, a couple hours learning how to process chickens, and walking away not only with the chickens, but with the knowledge that comes with it. And, he's a dang good butcher at this point, I think, because he knows how to do this stuff.
He's done in a few birds, that's for sure.
He brought in some pickled quail eggs to the conference
gosh,
too.
those were good.
Oh, I was just eating those up. They were
man.
amazing. So I know he's got his recipe posted on the Yarish Homestead on Facebook. So
He also runs the Quail Talk,
The
the
Quail
Yarish
Talk.
Homestead Quail Talk.
yeah,
And a lot of good information in there. He's got a lot of quail going. He's got aquaponics. He's integrated the system.
yeah, 3,000 gallon pond, and he's got a 29 by 13 foot backyard.
Yeah, it's tiny. So anybody out there saying, "Oh, I don't have the space,"
Yeah.
no. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
And if there's a way, we will find it.
Absolutely. He's doing rabbits. Mm-hmm. He's got a communal rabbit system as well as
Colony,
a colony system, as well as cages for his bucks and some other things, so he can still control breeding.
Yep.
He is growing edible food and fruit trees and all sorts of stuff all over his yard, front and back. He's doing very similar to what Justin Rohner is teaching people to do.
That's right. That is right. He did a great job. A lot of information relayed there. So,
Yeah.
And then next after Scott was me.
Yeah, and you did a good job.
Oh, I think so.
You had everybody laughing a few times.
Yeah, well, I like to flirt with the edge of inappropriate.
Yeah, that prom story is one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And you'll have to come to a class to know.
We're not giving away the punchline of that one on this.
Yeah.
So you'll have to come to the class, and I do tell it almost every time, though.
Yeah, it's a good story. So, and then you had the carnage came.
Oh yeah. After we learned about how to raise rabbits.
And that was an in-depth class.
Oh
too.
yeah.
These weren't the intros. These were
we went into breed cycle, how to line breed without inbreeding.
Right.
And also advanced feeds for the bunnies.
Yeah.
So those took about 20 minutes apiece, actually.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, after that, Stewie met his demise.
Yep.
I think I still got blood on my shoe from that.
No, you showed me that. And I was kind of shocked. I thought some people may be a little squeamish about it.
No,
everybody
there were more
was up
people
there,
there.
man. They were
fighting for front row.
Yeah, they wanted front row, and it was
Six
phenomenal.
sons of guns.
Now that butcher station you brought out.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah,
I want
pretty
one
cool.
so bad. And I want to modify it a little for my wants.
Uh-huh.
But that thing was amazing. I just think if you could add a 2-basin sink onto that, ooh boy.
It'd be perfect.
Ecstatic.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So that was actually made by a customer of mine, and I'm going to be following the same blueprint and should be supplying that shortly.
Yeah.
So,
I'm looking forward to that.
yep.
I want one of them.
I want that station.
Well, you could do the chickens and other things.
Chickens, rabbits. I don't think it'd be small enough for quail.
A quail or kitchen shears is really what you need for quail.
You need little kids' scissors will work.
Yeah. Oh,
the play school scissors
They
that are
do.
plastic will freaking work on quail.
Yeah, I use those kitchen shears and make short work out of it, I'll tell you. It's and that's why they're a good place to start.
Yeah, quail and don't bother plucking the quail. You just skin them and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And we actually processed a couple of quail there too. In fact, those are sitting marinating in my house, and now I know what I'm having for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got about 20 of them coming up this week, so.
Oh man. We have them ready for the weekend?
Just about every week.
Do you have them ready for the weekend?
Yeah.
I say we get together and have us a barbecue.
I'm going to be down in Portal. So.
We're still getting together Sunday, right?
Oh, that's right. We are.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a busy weekend.
We've got to film bleep, bleep, bleep.
Did you hear the bleep last time?
No, I didn't.
Oh man. I hope I didn't blow anybody's eardrums out.
Oh, was it loud?
I tried to make it, when I leveled everything, it kind of came out a little louder than I anticipated.
Well, I apologize for that then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So I got to go down Friday to Portal. If anybody is down in New Mexico, even Tucson, down that I-10 corridor, way down, near Portal, feel free to come on out to Portal. It sounds like the whole town's coming out there. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to have there's going to be like a potluck, and there's a couple of speakers coming up, and, it's going to be a blast. So,
man,
you guys want to learn aquaponics, and we're doing kind of an intro course. And then I'm also teaching an intro to integration at the same time. So we're going to talk a little bit about rabbits and quail and black soldier flies, which is one of my favorites for integration. I love those things.
I think it's the key to linking rabbits to an aquaponic system.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say, and if we do this conference again, we're still talking about this, and I think that I want to get these guys out from like tiny farms because they got this mealworm. I talked about it last time, how to raise your own mealworms, which is perfect for quail and chickens to increase their protein levels. Even if you don't want it for human consumption, you can use it for your livestock. And I think that would be great for them to come out, but they've got some really cool products coming out. Yeah. So we've got to get back with them and go through that. So definitely want to look into that a little bit too.
Yep. And closing out the day, we had Donna Bruce again.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about the composting class that she put on. I'm really amazed. I love it when you make bacteria work for you. That's just one of the coolest things.
I was floored because I didn't know that you could make that type of soil
in 3 months
out of garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you needed to add a lot of dirt and you were going to add nutrition to the dirt. That's not, she was actually making dirt.
Yeah. She's making dirt.
Beautiful topsoil. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah. That was it. I've never seen art performed with bacteria. And that was literally, I'm not exaggerating. It was beautiful dirt.
Right.
And I'm not a dirt connoisseur. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Yeah.
I learned so much out there.
I went home tired though, I will tell you. It's like my brain needed to sleep after that.
Yeah, well, we started Friday too, remember?
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't, for us, it was a little more than a couple hours of classes, so.
Yeah, it was late night Friday, early morning Saturday, early morning Sunday, late night Sunday.
Yeah. So it was totally worth it. We had a bunch of people come out. I think everybody got something out of it. It was just a blast.
Yeah, we gave away an aquaponics system.
Yep.
Gave away a lot of giveaways from the Square Foot Garden stamp.
Oh, that thing is neat.
And I think we had 3 different seed companies. We had Baker Seeds, Joe Fyan with, what is it, the Family First?
Yep.
Oh, we'll have to put the note in there. I forget the name. Family First.
Yeah,
Seeds.
he's got some really great seeds too.
Oh, yeah. His
I mean,
packets were smaller, but the content was double what the other guys had.
right.
And yeah, there wasn't a pretty picture of what it was going to grow, but it was labeled properly and it was set up to withstand the Holocaust, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, his seed packets, that's what I'm amazed. His seed packets. And when you go out and buy seeds, guys, make sure you're looking at the seed counts and everything on these and also the dates because there's dates on them.
Yeah.
So make sure you're looking at the right dates for expiration kind of dates and you're storing your seeds properly. But his stuff has some has 5 times more seeds in it.
That's right.
And it's the same price.
Well, the cucumbers is what he donated.
Yeah, that's what he donated, but I've seen him out at the other fests.
Yeah, his, what was it? It was 50 count and it was the size of a business card.
Yeah.
Which was perfect. But not only is there more in each packet, but the packet is literally vacuum sealed and set up to withstand whatever. The bucket can get wet. The packets can get wet and they're not going to pre-germinate and then die inside of the packet. So you're saving a lot more money going with him in the long run.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a seed bucket that is 40,000 plus seeds.
That's pretty good value too.
And yeah, it's pretty, what is it, $50?
I think it's a little more than that.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
50-ish if I remember.
Now, he's
right.
going to be up in
the
Prescott show.
Yeah, that's
which if anybody's around Prescott, Arizona, there's going to be another.
It's the Arizona Survivalist Expo put on by Lance Baker.
I'll put a link to that too.
Yep.
It's totally worth
That's
the drive.
the 31st of May and the 1st of June. So it's that weekend.
May, June.
Yeah, May, June weekend. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be up there. The Hostile Hair Booth's going to be there. I think I'm going to wheel Dawn up there too.
Yeah. Sounds fun. That's the end of May, so that should work.
Yeah. Well, that covers pretty much anything. Do we have a plug of the week, Dawn?
I don't.
You don't have a plug of the week?
No, I was so busy with the conference this week, I did not get a plug of the week.
Well, why don't we plug ourselves? Hey, go to WeGrowOurs.com if you're not listening to it on WeGrowOurs.
Yeah, so let's cover that. WeGrowOurs.com. Nick and I have put up a website. That is our podcast.
Yep.
We are expanding our We Grow Ours to offer some other products and services maybe. We're looking for other people to come on there too. As far as sponsoring the show kind of things, putting your ads up. We were looking for products that fit with this that aren't going to break the bank to buy.
Yeah.
And we just kind of want to work with some people out there. So if you guys have any ideas for us, things you'd like to see on the thing, we don't want to be a big shopping center for products, but we want some stuff that really fits with what we do at We Grow Ours, which is teaching and growing your own food, whether it be protein, insects, rabbits, aquaponics, fish, whatever it happens to be. So, we're hoping to bring you some more with that. So yeah. WeGrowOurs.com is our plug of the week. You can find us on Prepper Broadcasting as well. PrepperBroadcasting.com. Mondays at 8 p.m. Central Time currently. So be sure and go over there and check that out. Give them some good props and go check out their other shows. They have some really good podcasts on there. They're all archived. You guys can go back and listen to those. Glenn does an amazing job with that. So definitely go check that out as well. Follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/WeGrowOurs, Twitter @WeGrowOurs.com. And we need some Facebook. This Facebook thing is killing me. We're not reaching people. And I know Facebook has this new thing out that they're
doing a new algorithm. So
they want to make money
pay in order to be seen.
So guys, come visit us, show us some love on Facebook and help us share, the post. We don't make a ton of them, so we're not going to spam you, but go out there and share the show. Weekly, we put up the shows. Share it out there so other people can listen and learn. So what else you got, Nick?
That's pretty much it. The new fodder system's going to kick butt.
Can't wait.
Oh man, I'm excited.
So keep an eye on the website for that.
That's right.
All right. And then events. You've got the Prepper Fest up in Prescott coming up next.
Prescott.
I'm going to be in Portal, Texas, or Portal, Arizona. I can't talk now. Portal, Arizona this weekend. So the show comes out on Friday. I'll be up there on Saturday. So you guys come check that out. Where else do you have any other upcoming events?
I think I'm going to do a butchering and 101 class up in Prescott.
Oh, cool.
After not the same weekend of the show, of the expo, but probably 2-3 weeks after that.
Or where do you get info on that?
Just keep an eye on our Facebook page, Hostile Hair, hostile.hair, facebook.com/hostile.hair.
Okay.
We'll be announcing it there. Sign up for the newsletter. If you go to hostilehair.com, you can sign up there for the newsletter. And also,
what do you charge? Tell me about that butchering class or the processing class.
Well, if you sign up, it's $50. For $50, you're going home with $60 worth of rabbit meat.
Love it.
So you're going to have, the only place to buy fresh rabbit meat that I've seen in town is like $16 a pound.
And that's fresh, not frozen?
That's fresh, not frozen. And it's seasonal. You don't get it very often. You can buy it frozen for $10 a pound. So you're paying $25 for the class, $25 for the rabbit.
There you go.
Because
and you get to butcher your own at your classes.
That's right. You're going to follow me cut per cut.
Yeah.
So it's not for the squeamish, but it is for those that want to control their own food supply. I'll teach you how to do it humanely. That's the key to this is, yes, we are omnivorous. Yes, we need to eat meat in order to survive. No, we don't need to torture our food. And if you're buying from the store, you have no control over what that food went through.
That's right. Vote with your dollar.
Exactly.
Buy local.
Buy local or grow
Raise your own. Go to your neighbors that are growing theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Go take a ride around the outskirts of your town if you're in the city and see what farmers markets are around. Get the business cards. Contact these guys directly. Go get the food. Go search for it because it's going to help everybody if you do. So
it's like this. Somebody quoted, I forget who said the quote, but if you stop going to your supermarket, you won't hurt them. If you go to a farmer's market, you could save a man's farm.
Absolutely. That's a good thing to end the show on too.
Yep.
So good thought.
On that note, we'll see you next week. Well, you'll listen to us. We won't see you ever.
Well, I hope we will. That's kind of negativity there. We'll never see you. We'll see you if
slink back into my cave.
That's right. Come to one of our events. We'd love to meet all of you.
There you go. Come to the next event. See us in Preston.